Good Friday Eve. Good Friday Eve, everybody. Good Friday Eve. As we set this up, yes, we are live. As we set this up, you probably can see more stuff around me. I don't know. But I hope your Friday Eve is going well. Tomorrow's Friday. Man, this week went by fast. Really fast. Really fast. Excuse me. There we go. As I wait on the computer, where is it? Yep, there you go, right there. Save me a lot of time. Close that out. Share the screen with you all. I probably should have kept that one, but it's cool. Disclaimer. Remember, I am speaking from my experience, Henry, speaking on behalf of Creator. Remember, it's best for you to do your own research, consult with specialists at the institution that you are interested in. If I am talking about an institution, remember that I'm only speaking from my experience and that I am not a financial aid specialist, academic advisor, or representing. I am not a financial aid or academic advisor for any of these institutions that I am discussing as we are talking. But I do have experience in academic advising background in other areas living through my actual practical life experience. But remember to always do your own research when we're talking about a school or anything that you might be curious about. Now that that's out the way, let's get into it. First things first, I have it on here. Is that I thought this was pretty interesting. I did not read the whole thing. Let me show you. The water's on. All right. So I had said that HBCU medical schools are in trouble. Of course, this story was written by Tierra Mortree, if I said that right. This is our picture right here. I found this article. Shio had posted it on there. That's another thing. Shio. Let's start with Shio real quick. I don't think they'll show you my screen if I do that. Let me see. No. So for today's Shio updates, shout out to Shio with these updates. So for national policy, we got Education Department plans to erase merger pathways. We are going to talk about that actually. How Trump's demand for admissions data is burdening your college. That's actually a good one. That was about a Chronicle of Education. That's actually sound like a good one. A Trump official stand legal case against accreditors' DEI policies. Education Department plans to send part of student loan portfolio to Treasury. How did I not see that today? Historically black land grant universities celebrate USDA agreement as big win. And then how it says Utah rep. So I don't know. That should be representative. How Utah rep Burgess Owens hopes his bill scares off ghost students. All right, for all my state people out there. So Alabama college trustees would have more to say on faculty firing, curriculum under new bill. CT, I don't know what CT, I think that's Connecticut, I want to say, but CT, the state bill to allow accelerated 3-year bachelor's degrees at CT colleges dies in committee. Oh, wow. So it sounds like off the headline, if you heard anything about getting 3-year degrees, they stopped that. I believe that's Connecticut once again. ID, I don't know what state is ID, forgive me. State House Roundup 3/17/26. This was on March 17th. Little signs off on lawmakers' plan for deeper spending cuts. Kentucky, Senate Republicans restore funds to to Kentucky public universities in their budget proposal. LA, that could be Louisiana, that could be Los Angeles, but LA education leaders toot demand for aid for associate degrees in hot fields. LA again, this one says Louisiana. So Higher Education Commissioner Dr. Kim Hunter Reed urges state lawmakers to increase funding for Louisiana universities and colleges. Maine, I believe ME is Maine. Maine could become the first state in the country to offer free community college and then take it away. I'm about to say California definitely offers free community college. And then New Mexico Higher Education Secretary advises against tuition increases. I like that. I like that as a headline. Ohio, I believe Ohio, OH. Vic Ramaswamy, if I say that right, wants to consolidate Ohio universities. We have too many. PA, Pennsylvania, press release. Shapiro administration invests $1.7 million in Pennsylvania colleges and universities for its On Us initiatives to combat sexual violence. Washington, I believe, WA, students attending private universities to see financial aid cut. And I believe, Wisconsin. WI, Senate approves Wisconsin athletics $15 million NIL bill, sweeping records exemption. So those are some updates that we got out the way, and Wisconsin just lost, which is hilarious. Wisconsin just lost the first round in the upset. So spending more money to lose. Wisconsin, y'all know how to do that. So changes to federal loan program may disrupt HBCU medical schools and students. As y'all know, I talk about HBCUs often. I didn't go to HBCU college, but I went to historical Black high school. So like a historical Black, so HBHS. I went to historical Black high school. But HBCUs and historical Black high school are not that much different. I always like to give a brief, what's that word? I always like to give context before I talk about schools because I don't want nobody thinking I don't know anything about an HBCU. So when I was at my historical Black high school, we did the same thing the college bands do. I know a lot of HBCUs from hearing my peers, they don't have many resources. Sounds familiar in high school. We didn't have many resources. My historical Black high school was, of course, predominantly African-American Black, whichever one you want to call it. We had Samoans at our school. We had Hispanics at my school. We even had some Asian students at our school. We had like everything, really. That's why it was so bizarre when I stepped into the real world, how divided it was when I went to college a little bit, because it was kind of like white or Black when I went to college. But just giving that context. So the author of this is Tierra Moultrie. Once again, she's a fellow, I believe, here at this company who wrote this, the Century Foundation. So, we like to go through it. So historically Black college and university. Oh, my bad. So remember I talked about the federal loans getting capped. So students on the Grad Plus loans, I believe they should mention that. I believe that's what it's called. But there's been a cap on pulling out loans if you're going to graduate school in general. I believe it's for all graduate, but we're gonna find out more. But the Trump administration signed a bill. I believe it was part of the One Big Beautiful bill, because they be making it seem like stuff just separated, but it really was in like one, like the big bill, beautiful bill and stuff. So Tierra goes on to say in the introduction, historical Black colleges and universities, medical schools provide a crucial pathway to medical careers for Black students, first generation students, and low income students. Now, remember, a lot of people don't know what HBCUs are. A lot of times people see it, but we live in a time of algorithm. So if you are strongly relying on your algorithm and you're not seeking information, you would never know what HBCU is. And that's for everybody. It's people who are of this color who don't know about HBCUs that much. And so HBCU medical schools are also distinguished by their commitment to reducing racial. Why am I reading off this? I'm reading it off the live screen with you all. I didn't even go into the hide that. Wow. You're Here's a smart computer. All right, perfect. Boom. All right, just like to make sure I'm set up. So HBCU medical schools distinguished by commitment racial. Okay. So HBCU medical schools are distinguished by their commitment to reducing racial and socio-economic health disparities and to providing services in low-income communities. Yet, recent changes in federal policy threaten to disrupt their contributions. New federal student loan borrowing limits may have far-reaching impacts on student access and success at HBCU medical schools. And by creating new obstacles for HBCU students, these policies may also exacerbate, if I said it right, I just read that word in the book. I believe it's exacerbate.
Exacerbate.
Exacerbate. See, that's why you do this. That's why you use that. I don't know.
Exacerbate.
Exacerbate. I believe that means what? Make a problem, bad situation, or negative feeling worse. Okay. So exacerbate. These policies may also exacerbate, which means worse, make worse, shortages, exacerbate shortages in the physician workforce, especially in low-income and rural communities. The United States physician workforce faces several significant challenges. Demographic, as y'all see this stuff keep popping down. Demographic shifts have resulted in overall population growth as well as in a rapidly aging population. In 2020, 1 in 6 people in the United States, 1 in 6 people in the United States were 65 or older. Both of these conditions mean that the demand for medical care is skyrocketing. But at the same time, a rapidly aging medical workforce is pushing a significant number of today's working doctors toward retirement. While 1 in 6 of Americans are now seniors, nearly a quarter of United States physicians are 65 and older. Without a meaningful expansion of physician training, a medical workforce shortage is all but assured. So right here, this is I believe they put the quote right here. Like, look, all U.S. physicians are 65 and older. This unprecedented and unmet demand for licensed medical doctors hits some Americans much harder than others. A longstanding shortage of primary care physicians. So for my healthcare people out here, you probably know about this already. You are probably aware that there's a shortage coming or a shortage already there, and that most of the physician workers, for healthcare are 65 and over. So let's get to the meat and potatoes, what we really came to look for. So all right. So right here it says, to address this problem, a number of United States medical schools have set their sights on blunting the impact of the crisis at its spearhead, reaffirming their commitment to addressing the public health and primary care needs of rural and urban underserved communities. At turn of the 20th century, there were roughly a dozen HBCU medical colleges. Today, there are just 4 HBCU medical colleges. I didn't know that. Let's go back. At the turn of the 20th century, there were roughly a dozen HBCU medical colleges. A dozen HBCU medical colleges. I probably said HB the first time. But today, there are just 4 HBCU medical colleges. That's crazy. I think one of them should be Howard if it's not up here. I don't think they put it up here. And so, I'm sorry, I got a haircut, and that hair, you know how that hair gets on you from my fellas out there? And so, with 2 additional HBCU institutions, Xavier, I never heard of this school, Xavier, Oxford. Let me see if this link take me real quick. So this is a HBCU right here. It's Xavier, I would say Xavier University of Louisiana, but they call it Xavier Oxford College of Medicine. So they have a med school pretty much. I didn't even know about this. I feel like I would know if I was from Louisiana, but I am not from New Orleans, Louisiana. That is interesting to know. So, and Morgan State University. I heard of Morgan State plenty of times. And, this is Morgan State. I believe I follow Morgan State on LinkedIn. So shout out them for it's a new medical school. I think they just opened this. Morgan State University secures $1.75 million grant from Robert Wood Johnson. I believe Robert Wood, is that their president? I think that's their college president. I think I follow him on LinkedIn too. Robert Wood Johnson Foundation to plan the launch of public nonprofit MD medical school. And we should have more medical schools, HBCUs. That should be natural. So if you are a billionaire, multimillionaire, definitely contribute to the reason to put more med schools and HBCUs. Because if you don't, nobody else will. So working toward accreditation of their medical schools, and yet, in spite of their numbers, HBCU medical colleges HBCU medical colleges produce nearly half of all Black doctors. I don't know about that. I'm gonna ask about that. I don't know. Now you got me wondering. I'm thinking about my doctor, because my doctor in the hospital, when I was getting the chest tubes in me, he was, which is interesting. She said in America, I think. So yeah, this is based on America. He was from Canada. Shout out to him because he played a role in saving my life, a big role in saving my life. He was from Canada. He's Nigerian. He was from Canada, and he went to school in America. I can't remember what school he went to. He didn't go to any HBCUs though, which is interesting. And so, interesting when you put some thought into some stuff. So, okay. There we go. So new limits means new financial challenges for medical students. In July 2025, Congress passed H.R. 1, also known as the One Big Beautiful Bill. Okay, we was correct. It is part of the One Big Beautiful Bill, as we thought. Because we was covering that, but I believe this year talking about the grad plus loans. I believe it's called, I don't like to get there you go right there. The law eliminated direct graduate plus loans. Gotcha. So in July 2025, Congress passed H.R. 1, also known as the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, and which made several changes to graduate students' borrowing options. And so first, the law eliminated direct graduate plus loans. As you know me, if you watch me, I am a big supporter of no loans. I feel like you should not get loans while going to college, but everybody's situation is different. And I understand med school can run you like a house, pretty much. So yeah, it can run you a house. I believe they got into them numbers down below. So the first law eliminated direct graduate plus loans. Prior to this legislation, almost half of all medical students use grad plus loans, and medical students borrow more than $1 billion in grad plus annually. Second, the law created new annual and aggregate borrowing limits on direct loans used for graduate programs. This is a major change. Before the new legislation, students could borrow up to the full cost of attendance. But I believe this is like a pen. I don't know if they're putting the facts in here, but before, I don't think it was a limit on that. Like they're saying that students can borrow up to the full cost of attendance. True. So I don't think it was really no limit. It's like, hey, your medical school might be 200,000, but students might take out 400,000. And so I think that was the problem, that it's like always more to it. But like I said, I always have to remember as I keep going, because this is not really, I can't say this is not factual. I really think this is more opinionated. Let me see real quick. This is a report. Let me see if she got her citations in here. So you could say it's credible and factual. So yeah, it's not really opinionated. But when I always get into the opinionated and factual, like this is factual. She put the citations in there, but there's always like, it's based off her perspective, right? I always have to keep that in mind. It's based off perspective. It's kind of like an op-ed a little bit, but as I keep going. I was trying to see that. So she did have citations at the bottom. I went down. So, yo. This is a major change. Before the new legislation, students can borrow to the full cost of attendance. That's what we just said. But beginning on January 1, 2026, which is in a couple of months, not like right around the corner. And we've been talking about this since last year. Professional students, or will be last year, professional students will face a $50,000 annual loan limit and a $200,000 lifetime borrowing cap. So when they say that, that's now professional students will face $50,000 and will face a $50,000 annual loan limit. $50,000 is a lot of money to go to college, especially for a graduate. They say professional student. So remember we had showed the list what is considered a professional student, and honestly, let's just pull it up. We got the internet. What is no LinkedIn? I'm not trying to click on you, and I clicked on you. What is considered? Because they changed it. What is considered a professional student? And they recently changed it, and then now the Department of Education got into it, and then they're gonna make us confused. Excuse me. Maybe I shouldn't say professional student. Professional degree. And believe. Yeah, that's what I was about to do. I was gonna go back to this. This is what we used last time on CNBC. And then so yeah, remember veterinarian, chiropractic, law, medicine. Forgive me. I believe that's like the eye or something. No. And what's another one? Theology. The fact they put theology on here is very interesting to me. Clinical psychology. So they say you get $50,000 limit. If I want to go, let's do, since I can understand law school pretty good, what is like the cheapest? See, this is what I would do off topic, but not really on topic. I would look for what is the cheapest, who has the cheapest law program in Georgia, because I'm in Georgia. So they say Georgia State University has the cheapest law school. And then you say, so how can you fact check it? Then you go look right here. You say Georgia Law. Is that Georgia Law Schools? Let me see. See, I don't like that. I don't like going on stuff like this. I need to go to directly the school website. So, okay. Not you bullying me, computer. All right. So right here, this is what we was looking for. I thought that was Georgia State. I seen the blue logo. Shout out Georgia State. They getting attention right now. So remember, it's always more when you go out, like they said, out of country. Remember, if you are a non-Georgia resident and you're trying to go to law school in Georgia State University, you're going to pay a lot more. But you see, like if you are a Georgia resident, it's only 17 grand for 2 semesters. They literally say it right there. The cost per semester is $8,000 per semester. That's really good for law school. And then you think about it, when you look at it right here, this is actually a good idea, Henry. This is a good idea. And so now that you look at it, they said right here that professional students will face $50,000 annual loan limit and a $200,000 lifetime borrowing cap. But look, Georgia State is only charging you, I don't know how long law school is here, but I think law school is about 3 or 4 years, 2 or 3 years. I don't know how long law school is. But I do want to know how many so I could calculate it. Because if it's 17 grand per year, how many? Let's see if we can find it. See, if we was doing this during the day, we could have called them and said, how long does it take to complete law school? How many semesters? That'd be kind of dope to call in. Call into the school. Let's see if I can find it with y'all. That's the JD part-time tuition. Let's see. I don't want to click off of this, so let me see. Is that gonna take me back to Georgia State home screen? Let's see. Admissions. I could imagine what being in a law program is like. You can get your bachelor's in JD. That's cool. Didn't know that. So it depends on which one you do, which is interesting, right? So now I'm looking, the average age is 26. You see that? Men, 38%, women, 60%. A lot of women lawyers out there. They have an 85% pretty much bar pass rate. Number 2 bar pass rate in Georgia. That's really good. And for the cost, it's crazy though. The cost is amazing for students. I'm looking for their degree. There we go, right there. Let me see. They never tell you. So it's 90 law credits. Scholarly writing requirement has to be C+ or better. Let's see. So you're going to take 1, 2, 3. Yeah, it's only 3 years. It looks like 3 years with electives. It's crazy. You get electives in law school. It's crazy. So you get 3. It's 3 years. So if you do 3 years, if it takes you 3 years to complete it, because they're expecting you to be full time, that was amazing. And we still got to keep our page. See how we found that? That took a little time, but I like doing stuff like that. So now it makes me not have to really finish the article we're on. So if you do 17, if you like me, I like to round it to the whole number. So 17,600. Get my phone out. 17,600 times 3. I don't know why I think about that. So you're looking at 52 grand, 52,800. And then remember, I want to call by her name, Tiara, right? Tiara said you get a lifeline, you will face a $50,000 annual loan limit. But the lifeline is $200,000 on the lifetime borrowing cap. So that's literally like you don't even need the full 200,000. You feel me? You only need 50 grand to go to the law school there. So, and they saying, look, you can get a $50,000 annual loan limit. So you only need 18 grand, maybe 20 if you need to live off of it, but you can be a part-time student in law school. And so you don't even this is how you gotta really budget. But then again, you gotta get into their program. So then that's the other factor, because that's that got to be one of the lowest programs right there. That's very good prices. And then on top of them having a number 2 pass rate for the bar, I believe it's called the bar. So yeah, let's keep going. That's how you have to do it. You have to find prices, find the best affordable law programs, because at the end of the day, some people go to the best law schools, perceived best law schools, they went to Harvard Law, and sometimes they don't win still, and you never know. So I like that. That was a real good. We got to go on the website and find stuff and look at the school website. So I'm gonna close that out. Closing that stuff out. So as we keep going, it says the median cost of attendance for the class of 2025 was more than $280,000 for public medical schools and nearly $400,000 for private medical institutions. But if they put it in the perspective of medical schools and stuff, it's kind of hard to say was more than 200. It says the median cost of attendance for the class of 2025 was more than 280,000 for public medical schools. Private is 400,000. As I recommend to people, try to stay away from private. Private get you in, at least go to a private school with money. You don't never want to go to a private school that don't have the money. Try to go to a private school with the money, even though this is on med school level. I thought it was good to talk about it. Step out that comfort zone. And then it says right here, thus medical students will be forced to seek private student loans to make up the difference or choose not to attend at all. And you can always find other ways. You don't have to do not attend, but attending medical school does seem like okay, it's gonna be a barrier. It's gonna be real hard to go to medical school because they're making me. They put medical school up here. Yeah, medicine, MD. Medical school is like I have a $200,000 lifetime borrowing cap, and then it's like the class of 2025 more than 200 or was more than 280,000 for public medical schools. It was more than 280,000, but remember, you have to factor in like when they calculate that. Like I don't know if she was calculating tuition in there. Let's click on that link. Not tuition, but like staying on campus, meal plans, all that stuff has to tag in with this medical school tuition. And that's what I always think about. It says, you can afford medical school. And I don't know what this is, but I'm not really trying to get into that part. And plus, this source right here is like students. I don't know what source this is right here. I don't even know if this is credible or not. I never heard my professors talk about it. They probably know about it. If anybody catches it, that's a professional. Professional college administrator. If you're a professional higher ed, let me know if you heard of this. I never heard of. I don't know the initials AAMC. I don't know. I don't know. Able to afford medical. I don't know. But I never heard of this before. So their data could be skewed. It can be them just trying to say like, like picking a citation, picking that like, oh yeah, medical school is too expensive. And they didn't really break down like they were saying right here, public school is pretty much 300,000. Private school is 409 or 408,000. But we don't know if they're factoring in like we said, not tuition, meal plans, staying on campus. Like, are we factoring those things in right there? So what I would do, once again, I'm going to do the same example since we're focusing on med school. Who has the most affordable med school in Georgia? And I don't even think it's that many. They say, UGA just got a med school, apparently. So they're saying that the most affordable med school in Georgia is Augusta University, according to AI Overview. So they're saying AU has the most affordable. So what I'm going to do, I think this should take me to AU website. No, it did not. So I'm going to click that link. I feel like that'll take me to AU too. Not y'all trying to make me fill it out. I think this is another school too. That's a sponsor result. Let's see. Keep that open. Let's see. It's really the same thing, guys. Like, oh, not y'all waving at me. Hey. So it's kind of the same thing, like trying to find the tuition and fees for undergraduates, but we're trying to find the med school prices. So now I'm looking at med school. Let's see. This is a doctor of medicine. They got two campuses. They got Augusta and they got Athens. So they supposedly, let's see if Augusta really has some good prices for med school. And it's not clicking. Why is it? Do they not got their prices? Y'all see this? I'm clicking it. It says all tuition and fees and other chart. Why they like doing this to me? I don't want to give y'all my data. I feel like I'm being forced right now. I don't think that's nice. But I'm not getting I think they're not. Y'all, I'm like really like clicking it, y'all, but it's not. I'm like clicking it, but it's not working. I don't know. Okay. Augusta, y'all looking pretty bad right now. Let's take a step back real quick. Let's take a step back. That's a lot of med students. But all right, let me try this now. Tuition and fees. That link worked. Yeah, it's not working. I don't know why it's not working. But I would love to see their prices for an example for my people on here who are on here with us. And we can't call them. Let's see. If I wanted to find the med school prices, if it was another way to find another way, it's taking me to the same thing. 2024, I didn't even post 2026, 2027. So, and that's the only way. Let me see the overview. I got teddy bears on there. It look like doctors already. Wonder what they programs look like. As y'all can see, I'm trying to find how much their prices, but I guess I will have to call them because I can't find it. I really can't. Like, and I don't want to guess. It could at least get me the tuition per credit hour, you know? But no, they're making me have to freaking look. So let's do this. What is medical college tuition? So this might help us, guys. Thank you, but I didn't want to do that. But I will run the ball. How do I take this down? There we go. I like doing stuff like this, y'all. I'm not gonna lie. That's why I like doing it. I like going to look for stuff for y'all so that y'all, if y'all have problems, y'all like, okay, I see how he found that. How do you do that? Just remember those 3 tabs right there. For some reason, it did not work when I did this. You see how that worked? See, I guess they got it on another link. See, shortcut. So, they're saying for doctor of medicine, here we go. Here we go. I knew it was see, look, you got to work around it. You got to work around it. So for doctor of medicine on there, they got the Athens campus. I'm going to just do that. So for Athens campus, if you are doing in-state 12 or more hours, they're saying it's about pretty much $15,000. In-state 1 to 11 hours. I don't know why is that so much cheaper. And then they're separating it. Okay. Yeah. So if you're in-state doing 12 or more hours, you're looking at 15 grand. And I believe it should be per semester. You're looking at 15 grand, which is very good for med school, right? So if that's it with no catch, like you got to factor in your rent, like if you're staying off campus, this would be a good time to have like I'm pretty sure I wasn't that type of student, but to have like, if you know somebody that lives there, apartment with roommates, that's the most common thing. I know some people who, they have a little more money than others. Should their parents like bought a house? Like we talked about that on the live screen too. Like parents literally buy houses for their kids to stay in while they go to med school, dental school, whatever. But in our case, we're gonna have to shack up with some roommates and work. But a lot of people can't work in med school because you literally go to school, but it looks like they saying you can take less hours to go to med school, which is interesting because they're literally factoring in if you're taking less hours. Fun fact. But if you can be part-time in med school, let me know. If you made it this far into the live stream, let me know. But I'm gonna go ahead and calculate this 15 grand per semester. Yeah, because it says per semester in the right corner. I was about to say, is it per semester? So if you're going to do doctor of medicine on the Athens campus, it looks like it's the same too. Remember, if you go out of state, it's always more. So 15 grand per semester, that's $30,000 per year. So 30,000. I don't know. I think med school is 4 years. I'm just gonna anticipate 4 years. 30,000 times four. That's $120,000 to go to med school at AU in Georgia. And people get caught up in like, I'm not going to Augusta. I don't know. I'm not going to Augusta University for med school, but people go from like prestige schools like, when you get into the graduate level, people don't get caught up in like this Division 1, Division 2, Division 3. There's all this crap. They're trying to go to school and be the best, because if a school already, like, this is like the academic side. If a school already has the credibility and how can you put it, the credibility, the accreditation, and they already had like the med program, dental program and stuff, for example, already, they're actually better than your prestige school you went to. Like XYZ school probably got the best sports team, because a lot of people go to schools for sports or the wrong reasons, but they don't have, like, prime example, UGA just got a med school. I believe it's a med school. UGA just got a med school. Let me see. Yeah. So UGA just got a new med school, right? But a lot of people go to UGA because, like, the football team and blah, 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 right? But you went to UGA, but UGA does not even have an accredited med school yet, for example. So a lot of students who go from UGA or graduate from UGA are going to go to where? AU or Augusta University's med school, which is a lot significantly cheaper to go here. Like, you're only gonna spend $120,000 to be a doctor. It might go up over the years, but $120,000 to be a doctor, and you're gonna make way more than that after you graduate from med school. $120,000 ain't nothing. $120,000 ain't nothing. Because a lot of you all are getting houses that's worth more than this program. So I think that's dope to put in perspective, because remember, if we go back to the article, she said that we just kind of crushed it, but the median cost of attendance for the class of 2025 was more than 280,000. We just found the program that was what, 120,000 for med school. So if you go and do your own homework, you will find that there are actually affordable programs to go, but you can't get caught up in the stories or the social media or the internet. You have to actually know, like, how to go look for it, like I did. I just went and did the research for you all during the live stream. But that's the beauty of what we're on right now, right? That's what I do. That's what I went to school for. Hey, I want the most affordable program, but who gonna have the best job placement when I graduate? Because that's how you want to do it. Shout out to Mark Cuban. I actually got that from him. I got some game for him on that. He said I was trying to go to the most affordable business school that I can actually learn stuff and be the best, business person. Because they're all gonna teach, some gonna teach different, but some gonna give you the connections and stuff. But at the end of the day, it's like sports. If you have a terrible attitude, terrible like motivation for yourself, ain't nobody going to work with you. I don't care if you went to school in Mars or out of space. Man, if your attitude sucks, I'm not working with you. Or if I can't trust you, I'm not working with you. So you pay all that money for college and I still don't want to work with you. So as we keep going, they said, like, it's more to the article. I did spend a lot of time on that. I don't want to take up too much time. Let's go down. So real quick, I don't want to skip anything. That's just saying. So right here, I always like to read top percentage. So low income and low wealth students who have borrowing needs beyond the new limits may turn to the private sector for financing, but could encounter challenges due to the lack of credit history. So guys, like, this is why I be talking about, like, when we hear these stigmas, like, I love the article so far. It's giving me a lot to like research and do. But when we hear things like low income and low wealth students, as if Africa, I feel like it's more because it's specifically about HBCU students. And when you say HBCU students, it's pretty much African American students. So like African American students like me, and many others out there. It's like they're talking as if you're not going to have the money. And I'm from low income as well, but I knew when I hit the stage or when I hit the ground running after I graduated high school, I understood early, like, nobody was about to give me nothing. When I was riding the Metro bus back and forth to go to school, and like other kids had cars, and kids make excuses nowadays like, I don't want to drive that far. You telling me I'm about to get an education that's gonna put me into a job that's like, for me, making the money I make, that's like really good money to like sit at a desk and recommend classes to students. And I don't think people get that. And the only thing I needed was a bachelor's degree to make, pretty good money, having flexibility to still make doctor's appointments and all these other appointments. But like, a lot of people don't see it that way. You're like, man, you went to school just for 40 some $1,000 a year, 50, whatever, and so it's like some people never seen that type of money. That's the thing about low income students like us. We never seen that type of money. And the type of thing about it, you don't see that type of money. Like a low income student, probably only like a low income student, a low wealth student. I can't say, I don't know what a low wealth student is, but low income students, they don't really see money unless it's coming from somebody. Like, it's true that you only see that from like drug dealers or scammers, somebody doing something that's kind of corrupted. But once you go to college, you see people making money that's like, they're in education, they're principals, I know I'm naming educators, but they're like, they work at banks, they got their bachelors. And it's kind of like, I'm not saying you settle, but you have to realize that to stay on topic, they're expecting you to not have money when you come from low income. They don't expect you to have the mindset of, I can put my money in the S&P index while I'm in college for these 4 years. And when I get my refund check on working, like they already know, like low income, you don't have financial literacy in the nutshell. So if you don't have financial literacy and going to college, or you don't know how to build your own like independency while you're in college, you have to rely on like misleading articles. It's not misleading, it's just from my view. I didn't go through that. And then I knew if I was planning to go to, like, my mindset would have been a lot more different. If I had to go to medical school, I would have been a lot more aggressive on how to get money to go to school. But when you're a low income student, you got to hit the ground running, because it's never going to get easier coming out of low income to go to college. It's not. And so when I see these, it's kind of like, you kind of right, but I just kept going to affordable schools. I wasn't going to go to, unfortunately, the downside is you still can apply to bigger schools that hopefully they got more money in the pot to help pay for your school, which is something I didn't know. I learned from my financial person recently. If you didn't catch that, please catch that live stream. And that some schools, like we already understood that some schools, they pull in money from the pot, but at the same time, it's kind of like when you shop around, like G said, when you shop around based on your GPA, based on this and that, a school is going to pay you a certain amount of money when you complete your financial aid. That doesn't include Pell. This is like money that's coming from the school. So that's why some people kind of like to go to like those big schools, like we talk about Yale, Harvard and stuff, right? Because Yale and Harvard, like for example, has a lot of money, like we talk about all the time. So like if you was one like, I want to go to medical school at an Ivy, they gonna have some money to pay you to go to school probably. It probably won't be as hard as you going to like a school like AU. AU probably, Augusta University probably don't have that much money in the pot to give you. So you probably do got to come out the pocket a lot more, right? So these are the things you have to think about when you getting ready to apply for like med school. It's all the same. It's just the prices are going up and they're not going down. The prices are going to med school, law school, whatever school is not going down. It's only going to go up and up and up and up and up, wait, and up. Up like my heart rate. It's just going to keep going up. And it says right here, and while some students will be rejected for private loans, others will face poor terms like double-digit interest rates. And so that is true, but that's part of the higher education Act of 1965. They have a preferred lender arrangement. I always love to mention that because they're like, oh, it's going to make them go to more to private lenders. Yeah, it's probably going to make them go to more companies like SoFi Bank. It's going to probably make you go to more companies like Wells Fargo, JP Morgan, whatever. That's why you need to know how to capitalize. SoFi Bank, disclaimer, I'm not a financial advertiser for them, but SoFi Bank has stock on the stock market. So if you know, hey, SoFi Bank is running it up on us, let me go get some SoFi Bank stock. You know, if they're gonna make you keep getting more loans while you're in college, you need to have a mindset to be like, maybe I should invest in this. If I'm going to go to them for better interest rates and private lenders, maybe I should invest in that. And I'm not the biggest investor, but going to college, guys, if you don't have the money to go to college, you got to go to work. Money is not falling out the sky unless you just got them academics on lock, like you playing sports. But then I tell you, academics is international, like the NBA. I love comparing sports and academics. So you're not just competing with students like when you go apply to Harvard or Yale or whatever, like, oh, I'm gonna go to Ivy. You're not competing with no kid from just in Chicago or Georgia like me. You competing against a whole student out there in the UK, in Qatar, Middle East area. You competing with kids from across the world, China. All that adversary stuff is out the window. Kid, it don't matter if we have like you get people from Russia coming to go to our schools or we go to their schools. Academics, if you have a brain and that thing can operate at a high level to help the world order, they're going to let you into their school and they're going to keep you protected. Academics is one of the things that can close, like it can open gateways to things. That's what they don't tell you. Remember, I always talk about it, like NYU has a campus in Qatar. But right now, you know, most people get caught up in the Iran war right now. And it's kind of like, think about it. There are college campuses out there. And I'm not theorizing nothing. I'm just saying, like, you can literally go Google it. There's college campuses in different countries. Like, we have a campus in China, but China is like, oh, we don't like China. So we have to think about, like, on the academic level, it's an international competition. Academics is highly respected. So when I look at stuff like this, I'm like, you got to treat this like a sport. You got to. And so as we keep going, and yeah, the preferred lender arrangement, I look at this table. Then once I'm done with this table, because I spent a whole hour on this, I didn't expect this story to be that juicy, y'all. I really didn't. But it's a really good story. I really this is pretty good. Shout out to Tierra for this. Shout out to her because it's a good story. Let me catch up. It's a really good story. So what's this table? It says see table 1 below for one angle on how the disproportionate impact of medical school debt is shirted by Black students in particular. The schools whose student bodies include a comparatively high percentage of Black students tend to have massive average student debt. I'm sorry, I didn't kick the table. Based on available data, all but one of the top 5 are HBCUs. Did I read that right? Based on the available data, all but one of the top 5 are HBCUs. Excuse me. So she got average debt per capita. That's a definitely financial term. At the 10 medical schools with the highest percentage of Black students. Morehouse School of Medicine. I'm aware of Morehouse School of Medicine. They got Meharry Medical School, Howard University, Charles R. Drew University of Medicine and Science. Data not available. City University of New York, Tillman J. Ferretta, Family College of Medicine, University of Houston. So she said, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So they say 2. All but one are top 5 are HBCUs. So the one school got to be not Howard. I believe City University. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I believe City University of New York. So they're saying that more students, if you go to Morehouse School of Medicine, you're going to be in an average graduate debt of $195. This is not me saying this. This is the person who wrote this saying this. The percentage of Black students is 72.66%, then 70%, 66%. Then 47 to 39, got sneeze. Still can't sneeze, y'all. Sorry. And yeah, that spike up. No, it spike up good. So that's interesting. The average debt, if you go to Morehouse, Harry Medical School, Howard University is about almost 250,000. So that gives you an idea about medical school. And honestly, to go to medical school, I think that's a great conversation to have. As we keep advancing the channel, I can't wait to like start tapping in with like financial gurus, you would say. Like people who are wizards with the market, stock market, because like I'm really like, guys, if you just constantly work, like y'all some workaholics, if you get the basic core, as I like to say, if you get your core, like your your core, like your six-pack abs y'all got, and so you get your core right with budgeting, discipline on money, right? Then you can step into like, all right, I'm nervous. I don't like investing. I don't want to watch it. I want it to be like this and da da da. And so like that's what I always tell you guys. You should definitely get a financial advisor. Your financial advisor will tell you, no, you're not taking this money out. Or if you go to them and say, hey, I only want to do the S&P index. I'm going to be in school for 4 to 5 years. I just want to put money in while I work part-time, go to school. And if you work full-time and go to school, however you want to do it at 18 years old, then that helps you build early. That helps you early on. You got a financial advisor in your corner. Make sure someone you could trust. Take your mom, take your dad with you. Somebody you could trust, and then you just put money there. So then about 4 or 5 years in that S&P index, man, I'm just gonna say that's like something I wish I would have did while in college, so I didn't have to worry about nothing. And then like, yeah, you just keep looking at that, you just keep doing that. Then it's like, okay, you might figure out like 1 minute you might say, I want to go to med school. Then next minute you might be bright enough, because I know y'all bright. You might be bright enough. You might say, well, I want to go to law school. And you might be like, I don't know which one I want to do. So you might take some time to figure it out. And so I think that's a dope experience though, because like it gives you a creative, juicy flow of like, I got options on what school I can go to. Then you learn that, if you go to a prestige, you notice that like, oh, they got Emory up here for med school, but you notice like it wasn't no Harvard or Yale or Brown University, because those schools probably got, like I said, a lot of money in the pot. But like top 10 up here, like look at it, Augusta University is not on here. Emory is up here, but Augusta University wasn't on here. And so it's something to keep in mind. Something to keep in mind. So, and I'm just saying, but I'm in Georgia. You might be in another state. Hopefully when you join the live screen, you say, hey, review my school, review this the school these are my 3 schools I'm considering for graduate or med school. Let me know. I'm like, hey, this is disclaimer. So that's the article really. If you want to go through it more, if you want to go, I believe this is free. I'm not subscribed to this. The Century Foundation. It's higher education, obviously. If you want to go find this by Tierra Moultrie, if you just type this in on Google, that title, it should take you to it. It was a great article to make us like go find schools, go find their tuition and fees for med school. I normally don't look at med school things, but I was like, HBCUs. And so, man, if you are coming out of poverty, low income, remember, man, it's only like temporary. Like you really just have to shift your mindset out the gate. I always recommend to students when you first start in college that the first book I read when I was fresh out of high school, one of my mentors gave it to me. It's called The Quarter Life Crisis. That book only got 3.5 stars on some stuff as a rating, but I feel like that book was like a 5-star book. You get real life experiences from people who's trying to figure out like, I went to school for this and I'm doing that. I shouldn't have did this, even if it wasn't college related. It just helped me be in the position that I am in today as a 26-year-old. I'm not going through a quarter life crisis. I'm more like, definitely, I know what I want to do. I'm just more like, how am I going to do it? It's more like, I'm going to get to it, but when am I going to get to it? And so I feel like that's a great book everybody should read at 18. You always want to be proactive before you get to certain ages. I need to read a book on 30 before you get to 30. I need to read one before you get to your mid-age life crisis, because that's just how you stay prepared and ready. And I'm not a wizard. I'm not a person who knows all the answers. I'm just giving my experience. So I got all these med school tabs up. Let me close these real quick. Probably should have kept some of them up, but that's how you made bad tabs. So I'm going to close. Actually, I don't want to close that out, because then if I close that out, guys, if I close that out, it's not going to be good. So are college Republicans okay? So this one was an interesting one for me. If you are a college Republican, do not get mad at me. We are independent. Do not get mad at me, y'all. Do not get mad at me. This is by Catherine Palmer. Go get Catherine. Go get Catherine. But this article is about college Republicans, right? So right here, it says that as the Republican Party has moved further right, so have its college campuses. But a recent spate of bigotoid remarks and gestures from conservative students illuminates infighting over party values, identity, and future. And so you got, of course, Trump supporters. They're in college. Like, hey, I get it. If you're in college, you are entitled as a citizen to be able to want to support who you want to support in college. Now, where it gets a little OD'd, as we would say where I'm from, okay, people ODing on this one. So they're saying that over the past few weeks, a growing contingent of far-right campus Republicans have encountered pushback to their extremist views, including from other conservative students. So right here, earlier this month, the reason I like this because it lets you know what's going on in these college campuses, and you won't see this looking from the outside, right? And why am I speaking about this? Because speaking. The reason I'm speaking about this is because one thing I hate for my, once I start getting more viewers, which I got a lot of them on here right now. I got like 100,000 people watching right now. And so I don't want you to get to a college, guys, and you get there and you're like, it's really like not what I expected. And you only was going based off of looking at the college website like we do. But as you always know, as I say, when we're breaking down the college, I always say, excuse me, as we break down the college, I always say, guys, if you're an in-state resident, because I always want you to go to a college in-state. If you go to school out of state, you need to make sure they're going to charge you in-state prices, full ride, or something real luxury, right? And so one thing I hate for you to do is get to a campus and they're doing like they said earlier this month, the Miami Herald exposed hundreds of racist, homophobic, sexist, and anti-Semitic, if I said it right, messages written by some college Republicans at Florida International University. What is a Florida International University? That's FIU. So this is the college. How you get familiar with it? This is their logo, FIU right here. This is their school right here. But as you see, they're saying like there's been a whole bunch of this going on, like what they're saying, racist, homophobic, and all that going on at the college. But you're not going to see that on the campus tour. So like the school knows how to, like, this is me giving you the inside scoop. A school knows when to, like, they know what part of campus you're going to go on. They know how they're going to set the tour up. They're going to wait till things die down. Like, hey, you probably can't do a tour this month. They got to give it time to die down, switch some stuff out, and then, let you come do a campus tour. Or they know, like, schools know, like, what demographic of students are going to be coming to the school. Like, what's the majority demographic of this school, like this high school coming? So they know, like, hey, we don't need to, like, they are thinking about stuff like that. And so this is giving you another idea, right? So they said right here that written by some college Republicans at Florida International University in a group chat they referred to as that heaven. And so the Florida Federation of College Republicans, FFCR, a moderate organization affiliated with the National Federation of College Republicans, condemned the messages as sickening, abhorrent, and completely unacceptable. And so as we keep going, blah, blah, blah. So then it said last week, a group called the Georgetown University College Republicans wrote in a now deleted post on X. So Georgetown University has some Republican problems. And it said that Muslims are no place in American, I quote, Muslims are no place in American society. Their religion is incompatible with our Christian nation. So they're having some problems at Georgetown University. And I don't want you to go to these schools if you are in that Georgetown University area, if you are in that Florida area. You don't want to go to a campus and then you feel like, whoa, where am I going to school at? That might offend you, right? It probably hits you a certain way. So it's good to go through these articles and see this. And I'm just like, what is going? That's why I'm like, what is going on with these schools? Like, what is? So then right here it says, and last Saturday, the University of Florida announced plans to deactivate the University of Florida College Republicans at the request of the FFCR, which alerted university officials in a 2025 picture of a UF College Republicans member making a Nazi salute. So let's see if it's a picture. I'm pretty sure it's going to be a picture on here because they probably took it down, but let's see. And right here, as you see right here, it's on the internet. Like, actually got a lot of, they didn't get that many, they got some good views. And so, yeah, and then it's literally like, hey, USC College Republicans, and they let it be known. And then it's like, hey, Uncensored America. He's the secretary who was doing that. He's the secretary. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't go to the University of Florida. As I like to say, they just got a fit state. They got some problems over there. But University of Florida hasn't been in good looks from professional student side. Nothing, I guess, because University of Florida had the Ben Sass situation. I always bring that up, but University of Florida also had the Santa Ono situation too, and University of Florida just not. I don't even think. I still believe they don't have a permanent president. A permanent university president as well. So they got their own problems going on. So University of Florida, I'm not saying they're a bad school. I'm just saying they got some problems going on that you should have a heads up on if you made it this far in the live stream. So as we keep going, then they said right here, still, and then a bellwether, such infighting and division are nothing new for the modern Republican student movement. The College Republican National Committee originated in 1892 and still on in operation. But that's pretty much all I wanted to talk about. Of course, they get into all the racist, sexist, and right stuff and all that stuff, and it's just absolutely bizarre to me. And they're in college, they're still finding themselves, but University of Florida or the state of Florida is very like Republican. So their colleges are very like, right leaning. And so I think they just need to be informed about how to go about things. But like I said, I'm not even from the state of Florida, so I have no say so majorly about this. Majorly to say. But on a professional level, I think they should really have the University of Florida should have some like sit downs with the right leaning. There's always ways to go about things. But like I said, I just wanted to point this out and show you this, that it's going on at multiple campuses. 2 of them was in Florida. 1 of them is in Georgetown. Georgetown University. And, be safe. Always keep in mind that, freedom of speech is still a thing. I just think nowadays with freedom of speech, you got to have your own independency of income, and just know like you represent other companies. Like I represent the reserves in the military, and certain things I can't do when so you just have to keep that in mind, guys, and that who you represent. And they're just doing things religiously, if I use that word right. So let's go to the next story though. That was a good story though. This one is a fun one. This one's gonna be a little longer. This is actually gonna be a one that take us home probably. Hold on. That's that water. All right. Education department plans to ease merger pathways. So, as more colleges look for financial lifelines, experts say the current rules are a barrier to mergers and bog down an already cumbersome process. Like that Wolf of Wall Street, he was like, "You feel that?" So, how we put this, guys? Shout out to Josh Moody for writing this. We said universities were in trouble. Now, they might not say, did they say universities? They might be saying colleges, but they're definitely talking about universities. They're talking about universities, 100%. I'm going to say 99.9% they're talking about universities. But Education Undersecretary Nicholas Kent acknowledged that not all colleges are going to survive the next decade. Guys, we have so many colleges. Sometimes that some colleges are just out here like some people went to colleges probably called XYZ, and he said, and he encouraged institutions to work together in order to navigate the challenge ahead. Now, if you've been watching us, we talked about how Georgia Southern, for example, has merged with another smaller college. Like Georgia Southern pretty much swallowed this college. It's like a smaller school, but you see schools are really like merging together. As I said before, I believe the Ivies are okay. Ivies are okay by far. And I feel like top-notch universities are okay. I feel like your state schools are okay. Like how I'm from Columbus, Georgia. We have it's a school called Columbus State University in the city. Like schools like that are going to be okay. Like a state school is going to be okay. Like Valdosta State University, that's a state school for Valdosta. But if you're like a school called like literally, no offense, y'all, no offense, disclaimer, but like a school like Middle Georgia, like it's literally in the middle of Georgia. That's why it's called Middle Georgia. Like those type of schools could be like, ooh, you might be in trouble, Middle Georgia, because students probably don't have to go that far to go there. And schools are not really like, I was looking at Duke University financial statements, and they actually had like how many students are enrolling in their school, degrees conferred. It's not really like jumping up. It's kind of like stagnant a little bit. Like it's kind of stagnant. Like it might jump a little bit, then might go back to that level, jump a little bit, then go back to the level. Like it's not really like beep, 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 beep. Like how if I'm researching a company on the stock market, it's not like they're going up every year. It's kind of like they're boop, 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 if that makes sense. So Nicholas Kent, if you know, I talked about the Education Undersecretary Nicholas Kent, even though I didn't know what Undersecretary was. But Nicholas Kent is like that operator. You know about Linda McMahon, but Nicholas Kent has been that operator, it seems like. Changes are likely ahead at the federal level to ease mergers and acquisitions in higher education sector. Education Undersecretary Nicholas Kent said earlier this week. Why am I talking about mergers? Why I feel like the mergers are important if you made it this far? Because, guys, if you go to a university right now or a state school or a school and they're on the verge of closing down or merging, you went to a school you didn't want to go to, or you're going to have to pivot to another school. And you never know the school that you're pivoting to. Like, let's just say you went to this school. You know, guys, as I say, you got to understand, like, if these schools are accredited, if they have an accredited, like they're accredited. If the school's not accredited, let me tell you why it can mess you up. If your school has to merge and you're like, I don't want to go to that school that they're merging with, but the school you was at before, it kind of like you could get trapped in a way. The only reason I say it's possible because I've seen the most unimaginable stuff happen in higher ed. And so before I give y'all that little story, like you're at this school, but it has to merge with this university because the university is just better, got money, whatever. And the school you're at wasn't really like accredited, I guess. We'll just say it wasn't. We'll say it wasn't. Or it can have a different accreditation. We're going to say it wasn't accredited. I seen things like that happen. And you're like, well, I'm going to go somewhere else. But the only reason you were able to go to the school you're from to merge with is because your school is like, even though y'all don't got the accreditation, when you merge with us, you're going to be accredited now. Even though your classes that you took will count as accreditation, which is a great deal. And so, but you're not looking at it like, oh, I'm kind of like stuck. I have to go to this school. You're like, I'm going to go to another school. But if you go to another school, for example, they're like, look, this school wasn't accredited. So you're going to have to start all the way from the beginning. And that's kind of a situation you could be in if you go into a school that's not accredited or it's under a different accreditation system. If you didn't do your research and then now you're like, my school was getting merged. I didn't want to go to that school, but you tried to go to another school and they're like, look, we ain't accepting none of these credits because of who the accreditation is by. And so now you're bouncing around trying to find a school who won't take these credits, but you don't know where to start or where to go because higher education is a whole nother language. If you don't understand it, it's going to be a whole nother language. And most people like to do what today? Rush. And a lot of people might say this, it don't matter where I go to school. I just need to go to school. True. But it kind of does matter sometimes because if you can't get them credits, to go to somebody, you're going to be starting all the way over from zero. So imagine you can be in your junior year of college. And if your school got to merge, you can get in a really bad pickle. Really bad pickle. I say that because it was a school. I always tell the story. I showed it on the live screen. Actually, let me show y'all real quick. Give me a few seconds. I love showing this story. If somebody just happened to be like, man, I like watching his live streams, you know. I gotta say Columbus, Georgia, college shutdown. Forgot when that happened. I think it was in 2022. Yo. Let me see. It was like, man, I was fresh out of high school when this happened. I ain't gonna lie. I was so happy that I hope these people stayed in school, but I was happy that I chose my 2-year college. You know, it was accredited and everything. I was happy that I accidentally went to this 2-year college. Boom. All right. So this was something that happened in my city. It was back in 2018, y'all. I was at my 2-year. I was just starting really to get into my college classes, really. And so a for-profit closures affect 4 Georgia cities. So you're probably like, huh? So a parent company of one, which is like a mom and pop college, everybody was like, they just go to these schools randomly. They don't ever wonder like, what's a for-profit college and blah, 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 who, you know, they'll never understand the context and backstory of it. Like a lot of colleges in America, if nobody knows, is actually founded by actual humans, like people. Like the University of Chicago was founded by the Rockefeller. Spelman was founded by his wife. At least that's what history says. And so like you think about like these other schools, like Cornell University was founded by Urza. I believe his name is Ernza Cornell. And then you got Yale University. That's a person's name as well. I believe it's another one. I can't think off the top of my head. But these are actual people who founded it off of like putting their money into the school, where you have a for-profit institution who is like, they might put a little money up, but they're like, we're just trying to like get, like, we're charging you high prices and we're giving you convenience. Like you probably don't need to meet the normal traditional standards to get certified for this. So you might not be as skilled. Some people don't care about that. You might not need the proper test scores. Some people don't care about that. So for-profit is like a very convenient, I'm willing to pay the extra money to start and do this. And some people be like, for-profits are terrible. When this is people experiences. People say, I went to for-profit. It was not helpful, blah, blah, blah. But let's get to it. Excuse me. And so, the main thing I'm trying to get to. So 4 cities in Columbus. The school was Virginia College campuses, right? So Education Corporation of America announced it's the last week of classes for about 20,000 students. 20,000 students, including those at their Virginia College campuses in Augusta, Columbus, Macon, and Savannah, Georgia. These are all in Georgia. And so you might say, oh, okay. So I'm gonna get into the story. So look, the move follows a cut to federal financial aid from the U.S. Department of Education and a loss of accreditation for schools. So if your school loses accreditation, they just be like, bro, we're gonna shut down. Or we ain't gonna get no more money because that school, like the U.S. Department of Education, probably was keeping that school funded and rolling. And so it says that is bad news for students like Erica Ham, who was studying business administration at the Macon campus. Right here, Erica Ham said, I don't even know where to begin. Ham said as she walked to the lobby of the Macon, Virginia College building in what was once a Kmart store. I think it's just now hitting me that the school is done and there's nothing to do about it. Right here, Michaela Easley has studied cosmetology. This is why I tell you guys, if you do cosmetology, nails, please look at a 2-year college. They offer cosmetology for very affordable prices. Virginia College, they were charging outrageous prices to do the same thing. And I know a lot of shout out to the ladies and the males out there. I know y'all be doing these nails at home. Y'all be skilled already. So you might as well just go ahead and get certified for a very cheap price. And so right here, Michaela Easley, the closures come when she only had 2 classes left. Men's haircuts and her final licensure. And then right here, I really want to finish school, so I got to find me another school to go to finish. Easley said, I only had 2 more classes to go to finish. She had 2 classes. But right here, they said by pulling the plug so abruptly, Education Corporation of America makes it far harder than usual for students like Easley to transfer their credits to another school. See, this is what I be saying, guys. Like now she has 2 classes left, but they were not accredited. They pulled the plug on them. They didn't even warn them. They did not even warn the students. 20,000 students. They did not get a war. They didn't get no warning. Pull the plug. You're not accredited no more. Hold on. Wait. I can't transfer my credits. No, you're not accredited no more. Then the school just jumped bail. They jumped bail, and then they were like, they didn't even try to fight back for the accreditation to hurry up and like get the last student. Like, we're not taking no more students, blah, blah, blah. They just jumped bail. Jump ship. Kind of like you're a sucker, essentially. That's how it happened. And then there was like U.S. Department of Education spokesperson Lise Hill slammed news of the closures, which also leaked thousands like Ham and Easley without a clear way to recover tuition and loans. And that was the thing. And so what my 2-year college did at that time when that happened, what my 2-year college did, they opened the door. It was a generous, I don't know who was in charge of that move, but it was a very generous move because what they said was, look, we can't take your credits, but you get, my school said we can't take your credits because you're not accredited, but you get, we welcome you into our school with the most help. And them folks like, man, I don't want to hear that. I got to start all the way over. Like, guys, I don't want that happening to you. I don't want that happening to you. And it's very doable and possible to happen if you don't understand the simple difference between a for-profit institution and a nonprofit institution. It can happen to you that fast. So as we keep going, that's pretty much what all that was about. And then under the current rules, mergers or acquisitions can take more than a year and sometimes closer to 2 years, depending on the complexity of the change in ownership. Such processes drag on due to overlapping approvals involving the education department, accreditors, and state regulators. Critics have noted that the Biden-era rules added further complexity to the merger and acquisitions process and slowed an already glacial pace. Right. Ultimately, the goal, Ken said, is to make it easier for these conversations to happen. And then right here, he said, although he did not commit to a specific timeline, Kent said the Department of Education aims to begin regulating on this either later this year or early next year, which is 2027. Such action, he argued, is timely because colleges are increasingly seeking partnerships as they face difficult headwinds. And given the likelihood of closures, Kent said institutions need to find ways to work together. And that's been my thing about higher education. If they want these students to go to college, if they want these students to like stay in their school and not, and these schools not have terrible retention rates, they need to have partnerships. Instead of kids trying to go to these schools like 4 years out the gate, these kids should be starting at 2 years and bridging to these 4 years. I think we need to stop emphasizing the partying to the kids. Like, you can have fun in college, but you gotta get some stuff done. And if you need to save money in college, you need to be telling them like, we have a partnership with these 2-year colleges. Because I remember it was frowned upon. Even working in colleges, they would not mention the students, like universities would not mention the students like, hey, you can start at a 2-year bridge to a 4-year. Now they're kind of like, oh yeah, you should look at going to a 2-year and then coming to us 2 years later. And I think honestly the professionals, they know. Like, you'll be a lot of people who don't know about transit student, transfer pathways, articulation agreements, and all these other resources in the college. Like, people think it's only one way to go to college. It's a gazillion ways to go to college. And that's what we try to explain to everybody on this live stream. Like, don't give yourself a straight shot of like, it's either loans, my own money. Don't put yourself in that bubble, man. That's stressful. Let yourself know that you got some options. You got some options if you play it right. Ouch. Talking fast. I feel like working out. Let me see. Come up now. Heart rate at 50 something, y'all. It's chilling. Really chilling. And so he said right here, they need to work together. Quote, depending on how you count them, we have 6,000 institutions of higher education in this country, and not all of them are going to make it out of the next decade. That is what Nicholas Kent said. He said the next decade. He said they're not going to make it out of the next decade. 6,000? He didn't say how many was going to not make it, but he said, nah. So then right here, he said, while Kent signaled that the education department will look to revise rules governing ownership changes, he did not announce policy specifics, emphasizing only that such regulations would be right size. Wow. This is interesting. The undersecretary noted that the department would be agnostic when it comes to the tax status of partnerships and partners between nonprofit and for-profit colleges. Kent advocated for for-profit colleges before taking the lead on higher ed policy at the department. Biden officials were particularly worried about the deals in which for-profit institutions converted to nonprofits. In which for-profit institutions converted to nonprofits or acquired a larger institution or chain. And that's a trap. Biden is kind of right on that, because they said Nicholas Kent advocated for for-profit institutions before taking like undersecretary. And the Biden administration, or Biden officials was worried that, hey, these for-profit institutions got money and they're buying nonprofit schools, but saying they're nonprofit, but they're still charging you for-profit prices and not caring about you in a for-profit way. So you gotta have the eyes to identify what is considered a for-profit institution, and what that goes back to. That goes back to my higher education degree. Hey, what these prices are crazy. Who is this institution? Are they really about who they say they are? Because right here it's a link. Shout out to the person who wrote this article. They put the links. They doing their hard work, and people like me are going to make their articles look good on this live screen. And it says surprise for Grand Canyon University. Remember, I was talking about Grand Canyon University has stock on the stock market. Now Grand Canyon University is now in the nonprofit conversation, and they were for-profit before. How does a school go from for-profit to nonprofit? Don't make my throat act up, man. So little things like that you have to watch, guys. And if you play this one part, this will save you a lot of money. Like, You'd be like, oh, Grand Canyon's nonprofit. And I'll be like, nah, Grand Canyon was for profit. They just switched to nonprofit so they can attract you more. And, you know. So please be wary of that. And so is it going to serve students better? Is it going to serve taxpayers? Is it going to reduce the cost of higher education? Is it going to accelerate the time to a degree? Is it going to reduce student debt? These are the things that we care about in partnerships, Kent said. Those are good statements, but once again, Kent was a big for-profit institution person. I don't know how this is going to end. I don't know if, I don't know. You just have to read not read between the lines, but read a kind of rhyming around the lines a little bit. And so, yeah. And so that's a little bit about that story too. If you want to go more into it, we talk about that story. It's kind of, similar things, rhymes a little bit, and then that's the education department plans to ease merger pathways. And so that was written today, or not written, but posted today by Josh Moody. Shout out to Josh Moody on that. And so I want to say that's really it for the live stream. Should I review a school? Let me see. Probably not going to review a school because maybe I'm going to start doing one school a week. And then, we try to figure this out because I'll be dropping them. I'll be having if I do a school every live stream, that's three schools per week. And I'm just yeah, that's a lot of editing that I cannot afford the workload yet for myself. So I'm going to make sure I work on the one I did last live stream, which is the St. Mary's College. And see, I think they play today. Make sure we get that edited down, post that onto the Rate My College playlist. And we was hopefully see you tomorrow on Friday. Hopefully, because we have to drive and commute and leave the area. And so we will let you know. But I hope you enjoyed the live stream. This was very helpful. It was very good. Hour and 30 minutes. Remember, play it in bits. If you made it to the end, remember, if you are considering to go to university, make sure that your university has a partnership with a 2-year college. And make sure when they have that partnership or that articulation agreement, make sure you start at that, once you find out that 4-year who they got articulation agreements with, that's 2-year colleges in state, start at that 2-year, then bridge to that 4-year. That saves you a lot of money. That saves you $10,000 or more. It's definitely going to save you $4,000 or more for sure. But $4,000 or more. It's gonna say you $8,000, but $4,000 or more. And then remember, you gotta stay off campus at your 2-year, and you gotta stay off campus at your university. I advise staying off campus the whole time because amenities on campus are just rising. And then the fun fact about that, guys, amenities are not really helping pay for college. What helps pay for college and keep colleges running is grants, grants and grants, government contracts. That's what I'm going to say. Government contracts and grants. When schools are getting them grants and them government contracts, that is what a lot of colleges survive off of to keep things running. And so I did want to say that. And then, so it really don't do justice. The school might say, oh, this helps pay for the amenities on campus. It really doesn't. It's a small percentage of helping pay for college, usually. But yeah, I'll see you guys hopefully Friday. Great live stream. Very helpful, I think. And play a little bit at a time. If you feel overwhelmed, stop and go watch some SpongeBob. Stop and go watch some cartoons. Whatever you watch, to go watch some funny stuff. Go watch these influencers. When you need to relax your mind, then come back and watch me. Then go back and watch them if you need. I'm feeling overwhelmed, but make sure you listen to these. This is very helpful information. I don't think we realize how dangerous college is if we're just going to college on the whim. And we got so many changes coming July 2026. So many changes are coming. So peace, love, chicken grease, and enjoy your Friday Eve. Enjoy your Friday. Enjoy your weekend if I don't see you again.